Next up, we have in many words, probably the most classic movie we're talking about tonight, Sleepaway Camp from 1983, in which a shy girl whose father was murdered sort of in front of her during some boating accident, and her cousins go to a summer camp. Shortly thereafter, murders begin happening of these, either the campus or the staff, and who is doing these murders, and will Angela ever open up about her feelings, find out tonight. It's a decent movie. It's not my favorite of the whole camp slasher type stuff. I think Friday the 13th and The Burning are probably, even to some degree, Madman from 82. I think those movies are probably a bit better. This one feels really strange at times. Like, I forget what her name is, but the aunt in the movie, Aunt Martha, it looks like. She's such a strange character.
She keeps fondling her chin as she talks to herself.
Yeah, and the way she talks, it's just so awkward. I'm sure it was like intentionally over the top. And the whole kook, the child molesting kook guy, like that guy was also just a bit much.
You gotta love how once the kids are running out, he comes out and he's still doing up his belt in front of all these other dudes, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what's up their ass." Yeah.
Yeah, he was just trying to find him something that she would like to eat. Wink, wink. So it's interesting. I mean, the slasher aspects themselves are okay. I actually think a lot of the kills in this movie are decent. The whole thing with the wasp hive, I thought was pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't mind this movie. I think it's pretty decent. It's got some interesting kills in the movie. Even though I would call it a slasher movie, it still doesn't feel as much like a slasher movie. Mainly, I guess, because most of the kills aren't... I mean, they aren't your traditional slasher type attacks. They're being killed in all these, I guess, just unconventional ways that you normally wouldn't see with someone, just chasing you with a knife or an axe or whatever. And obviously, the ending to the movie is the biggest draw for the movie, because it does have one of the best horror movie endings, in my opinion. I mean, if you don't know anything about the ending to this movie, don't look up what the ending is. Just watch the movie and then experience that ending. Because I'm pretty sure, even though I'm trying to think back when I first watched this movie, I can't remember if I actually had read what the ending was, or had heard from other people what it was, but I remember the first time I watched the movie, being kind of somewhat surprised at it. So
somewhat surprised.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think I was aware fully of what the ending was. So obviously, if you hear it from other people, you're not going to be surprised when you see it. And I think that's a part of the fun when you watch this movie and you get to the end and you get hit with that ending. It does a little something.
I have to admit, the inhuman shriek growl type thing is a bit much, but
I like it.
I'm sure you do. But the ending itself, yeah, it's pretty sad, and it's very memorable for pretty obvious reasons. And I think it's sort of hidden pretty well throughout the movie. One of the flashbacks toward the end that sort of gets more into it. I sort of liked how they went with the whole idea. I thought it worked out pretty well.
You seem to me like someone who would fall for that mind over matter trick.
I'm going to say I probably wouldn't, if only because I would never be in a camp.
So you've never been to a camp before? I guess these type of camps aren't as popular now as they were back, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, they're mostly for middle class and rich kids, so.
Yeah.
It would not be my idea of a fun time. I'll probably be more like Angela than anything, and just not do anything. Of course, I would not be okay watching. I just want to be back in my cabin, reading or something.
I remember being on a few camps, sort of similar to this. Not, I mean, more in the 90s and 70s and 80s, but yeah, fun times, I guess.
Did you have any bitchy girls that you were attracted to?
No. I remember, there was definitely where people kind of fall into certain groups of different guys that they hang out with, even if you've never met them before. You just kind of fall into a certain group. And so I remember, much like in this movie, there's some of the younger kids who are kind of fighting with the older kids here at the camp, and that type of thing sort of happened at the ones that I went to.
Yeah, speaking of which, the guy who runs the camp, when he saw them throwing balloons at, Angela, and then the cast, starts defending her and starts shouting at the guys, and from that, the guy gets at the little kid is, oh, hey, this guy's mentally unhinged because he's shouting at these guys. Like, that guy was something else.
Ricky is so intense in this movie. He's motherfucking cocksuckers! Yeah. I appreciated some of his outbursts.
Yeah, I mean, he had probably okay reason too. I mean, especially by the end of the movie, think about how he would have fought.
Yeah. I guess another thing is this, camp counselor guy. He's got, some epic pectoral muscles. I mean, what? Any bigger and he'd need a bra.
Yeah, on the upside, the guy himself was actually a decent character, so I guess kudos.
Yeah, I mean, he plays the nice guy, so he's kind of enjoyable, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I mean, he's juicing or something.
And another quick thing I wanted to mention. One of my favorite kills in the movie is actually probably one somewhat close to the beginning, where this guy gets his face shoved into some boiling water, which isn't too different from a scene in actually My Bloody Valentine, from a few years earlier. But this scene too was pretty okay, so you should always watch out for that, especially since the character it happens to is probably a character who very much deserves it.
Yeah, probably the most enjoyable part of the movie for me was just when that one, the Judy character, the bitchy girl in the movie, just out of nowhere she gets slapped in the face. That was so enjoyable.
Yeah, they're just some characters who it's completely okay to see violence against, and she was definitely one of them.
Yeah. As Sean Connery would say, there's nothing wrong with a little slap here and a slap there.
I like the Sean Connery impersonation. That's good stuff.
I wasn't trying too hard, actually, but I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Yeah, if you can do a horse show like that, we should be golden. I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to round that down to a 7. So I do think it's a bit above average. This has never been one that blew me away. I mean, I think the ending is pretty fantastic. It's a bit much, but it's pretty decent. And if you go into this not knowing anything about it, somehow, I think you'll have a somewhat enjoyable time. This is another one of those movies that takes you for a bit of a ride toward the end, so hang on tight.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7. I think it's pretty enjoyable. It's got its flaws, but like I said, you gotta love that ending, and there's things throughout the movie. There's some decent kills and some satisfying moments, like I said, when certain people get slapped, and if you like Jigsaw, you might enjoy the skinny dipping scene too.
Yes, if you like, yes. They did have some quality bodies.